Great.
I'm really, really excited and so happy to see all three of you on screen live with me, sales experts, sales stalwarts. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Chitra Singh, your host for this panel on behalf of SalesWomentoring, which is India's first community to inspire women to succeed at selling. Now, all of you might be wondering why we need a community, especially for women. The answers are obvious. That's because there are so few of us in sales, and you see four of us here today, but really very, very few women out there selling. And so, whether it's women entrepreneurs or whether it's students or whether it's even corporate sales professionals, they are not out there selling with confidence and leading with conviction. So, the whole purpose of starting a community like this is to provide an ecosystem to enable women to sell with confidence and lead with conviction. So, having said that, let me straight away dive into the introductions for these fabulous ladies who've been so patiently waiting through the technical glitches. And now I see that 13 people have joined us. Thank you for joining us, all of you. Thank you, Dhruvi. And for the benefit of those who are listening, you can put your comments, your questions, send us all the love possible. You can put your comments in the chat box. And yes, keep showing your love. I'll just start with, in no particular order, I start with Shilpa. And as I'm always very fond of saying during my webinars, I need to refer to my notes because all these ladies have won so many awards. I might forget some of them. So starting with Shilpa, she's the founder of Uno Mantra Business Strategy Consulting and Leadership Advisory Firm, specializing in enabling consumer and lifestyle businesses to become iconic using her per positioning approach. And believe me, the approach worked because she's used it on me too. And I really found my positioning and my strategy to go further with that. She's also the founder of She Mantra, and all of us here, coincidentally or serendipitously, I would say, are all She Mantrans, which is a community of consultants and coaches which she's nurtured so lovingly. She has over 25 years of experience with, yeah, claps for that, definitely. And maybe some more claps from the people who've joined us. I think we have a lot of She Mantrans. I did see Saloni. Well, she has 25 years of experience with reputed MNCs, some of them being Oriflame, Tupperware, and she is well known for her transformative leadership style. She's won several awards. I would mention only one, CEO of the Year 2017 by ET Polymer Awards. Going on to Roshni Baronia. She is a strategic sales expert. That's quite a mouthful, and I see we are getting a lot of love. Thank you so much for your love. Roshni is a strategic sales expert, TEDx speaker, author, and host of the award-winning podcast Ace the Sales, especially for women, solopreneurs, and small business owners. And I've listened to many of her podcast sessions, and they are fantastic. She's won Consultant Review's Top 20 Women Consultants of India 2020. She loves yoga, chocolate, as well as sunrises. And that's something we have in common, except for yoga, which I don't like. And I see Pritha smiling. Yes, last but not the least, we have the charismatic and ever smiling Pritha Dubey. Forgive me if I get carried away. I'm so excited. Yeah, I'm so excited that you all are here. She is an international sales trainer. She is a Marshall Goldsmith certified coach, an official member of the Forbes Coaches Council. She's also managing partner and chief mentor at Success Regimen. I love the chief mentor part. She does not run a sales training company. She calls it a transformation lab. And she also says that her first love is selling. I really love that because that's my second love after my daughter. She transfers her love to startup founders, women entrepreneurs, and consultants to help them get over their fear of selling. She's also won several awards, and I'm just going to mention one, the Best Sales Coach 2020 award, again by Economic Times Now and World Coaching Council. So now that we have gone through the introductions, let me welcome you all once again and start with the questions. I see 13 people viewing, and I'm so happy that all of you could join us here today for this discussion, which is just after Women's Day that we're doing it, on what is self-worth. And as women, what is defining our self-worth, or who is defining our self-worth? And why do we have so few women proactively choosing sales careers? And why are there so few women sales leaders? Is it a crisis of confidence, or is it a crisis of competence, or is it simply our self-limiting choices that make us choose accommodation over ambition, and compromise over conviction. So let me start now in no particular order. But again, the questions are in order, of course, but all of you are free to answer in any order. And for the listeners, please keep sending your love and your comments and your questions our way. So the first question is obvious. What, in your opinion, is self-worth? And who defines our worth? And what defines our worth as women? Is it beauty? Is it brains? Is it something else? So any of you who would like to go first?
Well, Chitra, I can make
Shilpa, would you
an
like
attempt
to?
here. Yeah. So, you know,
Definitely, please.
I learned. Yeah. So I learned this the hard way. So, you know, there's so many terms, and we all get confused. So for the longest time, I thought self-esteem and self-worth were the same thing, and
Right.
recently I realized that they actually are two different things by themselves. So self-esteem, I'll start by defining that, is it's really a set of our beliefs about ourselves, what we feel, what we think, who we are, right? And self-worth, I discovered surprisingly, is actually a notch bigger, higher, greater. It's actually who we are, in terms of how valuable we feel we are, how
Right.
lovable we feel, how we respect ourselves for who we are, right? And the moment we start to see the definition of self-worth in that sense, we do realize that how much we shortchange ourselves, because a lot of us start by not feeling worthy enough, and I think there we deal with centuries of conditioning, stereotyping,
Absolutely.
biases, and we begin to realize that that's our reality actually, where it isn't. Yeah, because it's not just us, we are part of an ecosystem, and if everybody around you feels a certain way, they define you by the roles you can or cannot do. Sometimes it is by gender, sometimes it is by age, um, sometimes it is by how you look. So it could be any and everything which could be the basis of discrimination. But
That's
self-worth really is that, you know, you are valuable, you are unique, and you deserve to be as well. So
right.
how I would
Yes,
start.
self-worth really is the value we place on ourselves. And Pritha, would you like to add something here?
I will. I absolutely agree. When Shilpa defined that these two are two different things, self-esteem and self-worth. I'm going to talk about self-worth a bit because personally in sales, I have struggled with that aspect of self-worth, of understanding what it is. And my personal take is that with me, at least, I have seen it being influenced by both beauty as well as brains. And I'll tell you why. Because no matter what, we all have um, a body image. Each one of us has a body image, and that is the reason why we have mirrors in our house. We go and look at the mirror, and if we like what we see, we feel extremely confident, and suddenly that feeling of self-worth, it elevates to a different level. But if
Right.
we are standing there and we see, oh, my stomach is I'm getting a little paunch here, or I'm looking a little bloated there, or my cheeks are looking too swollen, or my hair is receding. If we start looking at all those things, it affects our self-worth as well. So if we talk about sales, it is what is important is to accept the body image, whatever the body image is, to accept it. We always have appearance, which is important in sales, and I always say that, do not disregard the fact that you need to focus on how you look part of the sales. But you have the dress, you have an attire, work on the attire management, and you can take care of all your body image issues. But accepting your body the way it is important, because it is only from there that your self love starts. And the minute you start loving yourself, your self worth also happens.
Right.
So intelligence definitely is there, but everybody is smart. Everyone is intelligent. But I think the struggle that people feel here is accepting their own
Their body.
body the
Right.
way it is. Yeah.
So self-love, self-acceptance leads to more confidence and a feeling of being
Yeah.
worthy and valuable.
Yeah.
Especially in
Yeah.
sales, you're right, because we put ourselves
Yeah.
out there, and when we stand in front of a customer, we really have
Mm.
to be feeling as confident and worthy as possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with this,
Yeah.
let
Yeah.
me
How
quickly
many?
move to,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. Were you saying something?
No, no, I
Pritha,
was
would
just
you
saying
like
that
to?
how many times it has happened, and I'm sure many of you have an example that if there is a client meeting, you will focus on dressing up well. But if that day you don't have a client meeting,
Yes,
you will probably wear whatever you feel like and come to the office. So that shows
interesting point.
that,
Leading to
yeah.
my next question too. But before that, let's hear what Roshni has to say on this topic of what is self-worth, who defines it, and is it beauty or brains which defines it for us as women?
Actually, adding to what Pritha and Shilpa has said, it is actually about self-acceptance and knowing your worth in terms of what value you are putting to yourself without the external validation. So, of course, the conditioning and societal construct force us, especially the women, to think ourselves to be a particular way, match up to the imperfect standards of the world. But
Right.
then self worth is about the inside out look you have about yourself. So, yes, everything about self love, acceptance, and esteem stems from self worth at the core, at the root. So, that's what it is all about.
Right. If I look a little distracted, I'm the admin also here. So I'm replying to some comments on somebody who wants to join us. So that takes us to, again, another very important question that, as per a research report, I read that 75% of women in corporate are affected by the imposter syndrome. Right? So this imposter, I don't know why it seems to strike or stalk only women, or does it stop only women? That's the first question. And why is it that we suffer from its after effects, and maybe others do not suffer as much? So again, who would we want to reverse the order and start with Roshni maybe? Would you like to talk to us about imposter syndrome?
Yes, yes. I think more, the biggest of the celebrities also have gone through this imposter syndrome.
Right.
So I think uh, whenever you are struck with this imposter syndrome, it means that you are pushing yourself into an uncomfortable space. You are doing something which is lies out of your comfort zone, and that's where growth lies. So I think imposter is good in a way. The second aspect to it is that yes, it strikes to us when we are trying to match up to imperfect standards of the world. Like I said earlier, women especially are trained to be perfect in this imperfect world right from the time when they were in womb. They were made to feel that probably you are unwanted in this world, and when they come they are like looking out for love and looking out for that acceptance. So when it is inflicted from the external world, it deeply, deeply crushes your confidence. And that's when imposter hits you hard.
Right.
But that's why, again, the need of this conversation about self worth is so, so important, where we have to start seeing us outside in.
Pritha, you want to go next?
Sure. So um,
Yes.
I think I personally have not felt or gone through any kind of an imposter syndrome. As I have always shared this, having been a woman in sales, it was quite natural. Although I'm saying um, because sales was ancestrally or historically, sales is not a woman's field to be in,
Right.
and
Right.
it had been mostly known as a man's job, and mostly men have been doing it, and I'm not saying that the world has transformed or that particular thought process has shifted, or that suddenly more and more men are feeling that, oh, it's a woman's place to be, or women have started thinking that, oh, it's my place to be. that kind of a thing has not happened. But if there is an imposter syndrome, I feel that could stem from that belief that because sales has been looked upon as a man's job, a hard place to be in, meeting some unknown people, and it's a tough thing to do. So even if a woman has done well, and another aspect that many women probably would agree and may have faced the aspect that that belief that women are able to, even if women are have made it successful in the place of sales, it is because of their sex.
Yes.
So
Looks,
the fact that yeah, because of the looks, because of the
smile.
sex, and whatever you can say, because of the sex, because they are females, and most of the men clients find it very difficult to say no to a woman.
Woman.
So
Yeah.
I have had so many examples like that where men clients have hit on me, or they have been extra nice to me than my male colleague, because obviously I'm a woman, and these things kind of give rise to such thing that it's easier for a woman
Yeah,
in
women
sales
have it
because she's
easier.
a woman, she's a female. And maybe that kind of a thought sometimes, because if it prevails around and if everybody talks like that, it is bound to hit the woman's mind also, and somewhere influence a woman's mind also, and make her feel that maybe it's not my skill, maybe it's not my ability, maybe it's because I'm a woman.
Right.
And so it is making it, the men are finding it easier, or finding it difficult to say no to me. So it's easier for me to open gates, and it's not any skill that I have. Um, it's a limiting belief on everyone, men, women, everybody, if they think it like that, because selling, we know, is nothing to do with the sex of a person. So yeah,
Absolutely. It can, your
it's
looks
all
can get you the appointment, but they can't close the deal for you. So it's obviously then your convincing abilities and how well you're able to
yeah.
read the customer and
Yeah,
position your
I mean, if
product.
that
That
was
works.
the case, Chitra, then if it was easier for a woman sales professional to get the doors of a male client, easily open, the same would be the case in the other way around. Then for a good-looking
Absolutely. A
man,
good looking
it
man
would be
could get.
easier for a woman client
Absolutely.
to get, but we know it's not true. That doesn't happen.
Absolutely. So over to you, Shilpa. Two very interesting points I think Roshni and Pritha brought out, which I would like to re-emphasize here. Roshni said that obviously imposter means that you're doing something good or doing something which is moving you out of your comfort zone. And Pritha did say that the people around you, even if you have self-belief and confidence, the people around you and the experiences you go through sometimes make you feel that you're not in the place where you're meant to be. And also, probably the whole idea about perfectionism, which we as women have. And also the expectations from our families who expect us to be perfect and respect what we are and what we've achieved rather than who we are. Maybe that's also responsible for us often feeling like imposters. But to have the last word, let's move to Shilpa on this particular question.
So, Chitra, this is a very interesting topic and something I think a lot about, speak a lot about all the time. I think, firstly, imposter syndrome strikes both women and men. But it
True.
is true, women take it much more seriously, far more prevalent, and there are very valid reasons for that. A parallel research also says that when a man is 60% ready for the next promotion, he will still feel confident to raise his hand and say, "I'm the natural first choice." Right?
Right.
Woman needs to actually be 101% ready in her own mind to raise the same hand, and even then
Yeah.
she'll raise a little bit like this, right? Not like this. So
Right.
that I think something again where I see it happens, though it afflicts both men and women. Women are prone to it because another thing which I see, especially also in careers like sales, is that you don't have enough other women role models to look up to. So it's a chicken and egg as well. So
Right.
you are one woman amongst all the men many, many times. As you keep rising, further in an organization, the number of women starts to fall dramatically. So as a
Right.
result, you don't really see a lot of women role models that you could model after to know that even if I'm feeling fearful right now or having some doubts, but hey, if he can, then I can, right?
Absolutely.
What instead. And though the world is changing and we are getting more progressive, but what does she see? She sees that there is this really successful male sales leader, or even a leader, not just sales, leaving everything else perhaps behind, because when he gets back home, the food is cooked, the house is clean, the kids are fed,
Absolutely.
right? Parents are taken care of, the homework is all done, and all he needs to worry about is where's my quota going to be, completed from, and which geographies do I go and conquer next, or which executives do I need to pull up because the daily sales report hasn't come in, right?
Right.
And what is the woman doing while going back home, right? If she's not fortunate to be blessed with a lot of help available, right? So sometimes, this is again a function of our circumstances. Very often, a woman is still carrying both the workload at office and at home, and she feels inadequate in both places. She feels depleted
Absolutely. Absolutely.
because even
Absolutely.
if she were to wear a cape, she will not become a superwoman. But
Absolutely.
will put her on a pedestal. That hey, sales leader in the office, and look at her home, look at her
Excellent
perfect,
housewife.
and look at her perfectly immaculate home, right?
Right.
Unnecessary pressure, and who can wear this pressure for and how long? So I think taking the next steps always puts you in that fear mode, that doubt mode. Firstly, am I good enough? And then when you don't others you can relate with, that doubt doesn't even get killed; it gets intensified, right?
Right.
So that's another angle, an interesting practical angle I've seen to the imposter syndrome. But and I agree with Roshni there, that when it comes to you in doses which you can digest and process for your good, it is in a way better, because those butterflies make you work harder. They make you become smarter at organizing your problems so that you move towards solution oriented thinking rather than being stuck there. But again, if the dosage is too much, it stops you from taking risks and raising your hand to that next job opportunity or territory which might come to you.
Right. So butterflies are good as long as they don't cause you so much anxiety that you're paralyzed with fear and you don't act. So sometimes that happens to us. And I think women are held to impossible standards of perfection. And sometimes they are within us. And sometimes it is the people around us who hold us to those impossible standards, which it is impossible for us to do. The superwoman with the cape was a point I really liked, that all of us think in our minds that we are, but it is impossible. And therefore, it is important that we use all the help in the support system around us, whether it is family, whether it is siblings, whether it is our spouse, and negotiate. That is something women don't do well. Negotiate on the child care and the domestic responsibility, that I can take care of XYZ, but you have to do ABC. And I think this is a negotiation even with your spouse. And again, Pritha is nodding ahead. I know women again do not confidently negotiate for what we deserve, and that stems somewhere from the value we place on ourselves. And leading us to our next question, which is what Pritha had mentioned also, are all the biases and myths and misconceptions surrounding sales, that it is male dominated and testosterone dominated, aggressive, pushy profession, which is not suitable for women, and stereotypical advice given to us that you should not be in selling because it's difficult to manage both work and home. Is that responsible for not many women proactively choosing sales as a career? And even if they do, there is a lot of attrition at the mid levels. And by the time you reach senior leadership roles, there are hardly 15% of women who are sales leaders. So are these biases and myths responsible, or do you think it's our own limiting beliefs? What do you think? Which prevents us? Maybe we will go first with Pritha here. She looks like she's really wanting to say something
Yeah,
here.
I mean, see, biases and myths also give rise to these limiting beliefs, no? So it's kind of,
Yes. It's
they're related.
self-feeding, feeding on each other.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. A few months back, I did a program for women in sales for a large corporation. And the idea was that how can we have more and more women take up sales as a function, as a
Okay.
role. Interestingly, when I asked them, okay, what is it that is that you are expecting, or why do you think you are not there in sales? So they said there are a lot of reasons came out of how they are not welcome in sales. Okay, so they gave those kind of reasons. Many reasons came out how they're not welcome in sales, and all those unconscious biases came into the fore. So then I asked, okay, so after a few more exercises, we came back to the question that, okay, so what is your expectation from being a woman in sales? And you'll be surprised with the expectations they put up. Give us this, give us that. I'm like, hello, is there not a mismatch here? One side you said that we are not welcome into the sales, and they are creating all these troubles for us. And the other side you are saying no traveling out, no late night, no this, no that, and all these things. So where is the problem here? And I think it was quite an eye opener thing, for people. And I keep telling this, that if men or an organization have developed a reason like that we should not hire a woman for this position, it didn't happen to them just suddenly one fine day occurrence. Oh, we should not have women here. It is because of us women. We have created a lot of drama of not being in sales. We choose admin work. We choose clerical positions to work on. We choose those positions where there's a desk job. We are the ones who say, no, sales I don't want to do. If we are the ones who are always going to refuse sales, obviously the other people are going to say, after all, sales are the ones who are generating revenue from where profits happen, from where salaries are happening. So if we have so much of reluctance in doing that, revenues are not going to happen. So profits are not going to happen. So salaries are not going to happen. So there is a huge, we need to take that responsibility as women, and we need to tell and stand and say that, boss, I can do it. I think the world will change then if we show that kind of confidence in our own abilities and our own beliefs that, yes, I can do it and I will do it. The world will change their perception about us.
Absolutely. I remember when I was given my first assignment in selling, I was called business development manager, and there was no other business development manager in ICICI Bank. And I was told कि तुम्हें corporate salary accounts ले आना है. And I just got up and I said, कब जाना है, किधर जाना है? Where do I have to go? When do I have to go? That's all I said. I wasn't worried about the rest of it. I wish more women would go in with this kind of attitude. Because often the kind of investment in terms of time and effort we are willing to make sometimes is less because we fear. Again, it is not that we are not competent. It's also not that we don't have the skills. It's that we fear we will not be able to do justice to that role, or we will not be able to balance both. And somewhere then the expectations from others and your family, etc., creeps in, and we are unable to decide between family and work. And ultimately, we choose a softer, so-called option like an admin or a desk job. So finally, over to you, Roshni, with your thoughts on this. Do you think the biases are responsible?
Biases are responsible, and it is both ways. The institutional biases, of course, it is an oversight of from the organizations where they are not consciously making space for women to enter into it. So till the time we will keep labeling a function as male dominated, you are actually pushing women away by making them believe that there is something which is more difficult for me. So you are adding a layer of difficulty for them to enter into that function in the first place.
Right.
Secondly, rightly, like Pritha said, so if there is a particular expectation from a role or a function, you have to provide that kind of a skill set and tool set and mindset for the women to come over and play in that level playing field as an equal person.
Right.
So you have to equip them with the right skill set, tool set, mindset. Probably that is also an oversight from organizations that they are not investing enough in those areas as well.
And why do you think so? That leads to the next question. Why do you think organizations don't invest enough Is it because they think that a woman who probably is married, her commitment is to a sales job, maybe less because of the traveling, or when you have children, then there's a pregnancy discrimination, of course, coming in. She will go on ML. Are these the reasons?
Of course, these are issues which are prone to biases not only in the sales function but across women in leadership.
That's
But I think there is still a light of hope here in today's day and age, because we are increasingly moving to digital selling. So women
right.
have lesser excuses to make that they have to go out in the field. There are safety issues and etc. and etc. But since things are moving to digital selling, it actually brings down the barrier to entry and help them take up sales roles.
Well, that's a different discussion altogether, because I see that even though we are moving to virtual selling and we have work from home or the hybrid model, yet women are burdened with a lot of the childcare and domestic, and they are struggling to cope. But that's another discussion for another day,
That's
maybe the next panel, because I'm sure all of us being salespeople and being being good talkers, I think we are not going to be able to do justice to that topic here. So let me move on to my next question, that how can women be more confident about selling while still retaining their feminine qualities of nurturing, collaboration, their emotional intuitiveness, and still be successful in a field which is again thought to be, the perception is it requires aggression. So can we be feminine and be confident and good at selling at the same time? And if so, how? Would you like to go first, Roshni?
Yeah, sure. So interestingly, Chitra, like this marrying of confidence and selling. Just to give an example about the need of confidence in selling. So I send out newsletters to my email list every week. Okay, and since I have a podcast also, in one of the episodes, I was discussing confidence in selling. And when I sent out the mailer, the subject line of it was how to increase confidence in sales. And that mailer got 64% of open rate, which was the biggest ever for
Biggest
me.
ever. Hmm.
That just validates that how much of a need people have to increase their confidence in sales. Now,
Right.
coming to the part where how to do it. So I usually tell people and the clients that I work with three easy steps. First is, of course, to take one uncomfortable action every day.
Hmm.
So be it cold calling, be it sending out a mail, be it coming on videos like this, doing a social post, whatever makes you uncomfortable, please commit to making that uncomfortable task or action which helps you increase and build that confidence. Second is get intentional about building your confidence. So you should have a support system which enables you to rise in sales, raise your confidence, raise your confidence. So ask your friend probably to be your accountability partner, or probably hire a coach, or just build a support system which acts as a thriving ecosystem for you.
For you.
And thirdly, be a part of a community like SalesWomentoring, where you have peers who are walking the similar journey. You get
Right.
to learn and grow with
Grow.
them on the similar journey. So create an environment of growth, create an environment where you are able to nurture your confidence.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
my perspective.
I liked your point also about moving out of your comfort zone and every day doing one action which moves you out, and also have a community of supporting leaders and women around you. Shilpa had mentioned that point, that the more women role models and leaders, in fact, we shouldn't be calling them women leaders at all. They should be simply called leaders. But the more we have, the more we can learn from their unique journeys, get insights from them. And we know that if it is possible for them, it is possible for us. So when Pritha says that she did sell with confidence in times, she's an introvert, right? So we know that because we know her and we know her journey. So if she can do it, if Roshni can do it, if Shilpa can do it, if I can do it, then why not someone else? And the more they see women succeeding at in selling, I think the more we will have women choosing and succeeding themselves in sales roles. So Pritha and Shilpa, would you like to add something to what Roshni said about how we can retain our femininity and still be successful in sales?
Sure. And I think looking at all the women here, you can see that we have been able to retain our femininity. We wear the red with pride.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
we've all built very successful sales careers, leadership, careers, and now as entrepreneurs, getting together to encourage more women. So there's a very
Right.
interesting book that I read. It's called The Confidence Code. And Chitra, it's so interesting. It says that research was done and the lack of confidence world over was seen as the number one reason which holds women back from reaching their
Back.
full potential, irrespective of country or career, right? And many times what has happened is that women joining the workforce has only happened in big numbers post World War II. So even for the Western world, that phenomena, though it happened a lot earlier than in the emerging markets, was a relatively new phenomena, right? And
Right.
that's women started to try to fit in into a very male dominated environment overall, right? Whether it was at the shop floor, or it was working in service businesses, or in other kinds of businesses careers such as selling. And the moment, what happens to any human being when you are in a minority, the best way you learn how to fit in is you start to behave like the majority.
Like them.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's where a lot of women felt under the pressure to become one of the boys.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they were the
Mm.
only standing there. And they tried to fade in so that nobody would notice them. And that is something that I started to observe, seeing a lot more women coming in and not dressed well, certainly not wearing makeup. And they used to tell me, Shilpa, you come from the beauty industry, so of course you can afford to dress up like that. We will be laughed at, made fun of, people will hit on us, and they will not give us the respect if we were to go wearing makeup. And they started to dress down, and the more they dressed down, they thought they would fit in, they started to do worse, because their own image in their own eyes started to fall down as well, right? And that's where I think a lot of classes which said that people first buy you and then they buy your product or service, so things like that, when they started to be told to women again and again, it started to create a little bit of a dent. And yet there are so many industries still where I see that women are forced to fit in rather than have the guts to stand out. But I'm
Right.
very happy to see that the younger generation is bolder, and they are willing to take risks. And I see that both in younger men and women. They are much more accommodative, less discriminatory basis just on what somebody is wearing, and more inclusive. So my hope is really much more from our younger generation, that we should see a lot more equity coming into the workplaces, especially in the sales career, as a result of that. And when women will see more women wearing the red and selling the big machine,
Succeeding.
they will inspire a whole new generation to come after them. And I didn't realize that till the day I became a leader, and I had so many who left little children behind, managed to find help to manage homes. And they said that, Shilpa, if you could, we could. You could come back taking a Shatabdi train, which got late, and you reached home at 1 o'clock, and you were in office the next day at 9. If you could, we could. So sometimes we have to set examples like that, not the most ideal. But here I would also put some onus on colleagues, leaders, and organizations. There is a lack of safety, and we see that as a society as well. So it is the
Right.
responsibility of people. Women will not just ask for favors or the easy way out if they are assured that they can find the same safe space to go back home like their male colleague.
Mm. Mm.
Absolutely.
You lose
Absolutely.
women for things: mindset, marriage, motherhood, and mobility.
Yeah, the
These are,
three M's, the dreaded ones, the dreaded
yes,
M's.
four
Yeah.
M's really erase a lot of very good, potential. And if 50% of your economy is going to be sitting at homes, worried for their safety, where will the country progress? So we need women with all the confidence and the red lipsticks out there doing what they want to do the best, and doing the
Nice.
way they do best as well.
So
Right. So
that's my answer.
wear your red lipstick and go out there and sell with confidence. That's your message. We don't need to become one of the boys, and we can still retain our femininity and do well at selling. Yes, safety is definitely an issue, and I have faced some of those. But fortunately, the banks I worked in, again, I had really understanding reporting managers. In fact, they made exceptions for me where others were told to stay in guest houses, and they are very, very unsafe because you'll have that khansama and the cook and three or four males loitering around. But I had been given approval to stay in a hotel. So it is true that sometimes exceptions need to be made, but that is an exception rather than the rule. We will not ask for things which we do not deserve or which are not absolutely necessary. You were right in making that point. So, Pritha, any last words here? Archana Gupta says, wow, thank you so much, Archana, for your love.
Shilpa has summed it up so beautifully. I think she's covered all the aspects of it
Right.
because I absolutely agree that we are all sitting here having a success story of
Chat.
being in sales, and I don't think I look like a boy. I think I look like a girl only, and I've always tried to look like a girl. I have now short hair. Please note, during my
I
entire
had long
sales
hair.
career, I
I
had
had long
long
hair.
hair. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I
Saloni
used to
Tone
wear
says fire.
heels.
Saloni says
I
fire. Okay,
used to
great.
wear
Thank you so much
high
for the love.
heels, and wear quite, if I can use the word, I used to wear quite sexy outfits also during my client calls and all that. I used to really focus on dressing up and showing my feminine side. I never shied away from that. I also agree with all the points that, Chitra, you and the Shilpa made. I was also fortunate enough for one being hired as a woman in
In
sales.
sales.
Nobody questioned
Right.
anything that whether you'll be able to do it or not being able to do it or how will you be able to do it. Nobody said that. And second, for yes, providing that kind of a support where as and when it was required, that support was provided by the leaders, by the organization. So yes, I was fortunate to be in such places, worked with such leaders who understood what it is, that there is a sexual part of being a woman,
Right.
which can cause the safety issues, and that has to be taken care of. So the taken care of is not because of gender issues, but more from the sex issue. So that portion, if they are able to take care of it, gender is not a problem because of which we are going to come and say that, okay, I can't do this or I can't do that. So, and
Right.
there's this question that you said that, can the woman continue to have their nurturing side and that emotional side and still be successful? Oh, yes, of course. So, I mean, again, who said that sales is supposed to be an aggressive place to be? No client,
Not me. Not me.
go to a client and start showing your aggression. The client is going to throw you out of his place.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It is, I mean, again, another myth that you need to be aggressive to be. No, you need not be aggressive and you need to be empathetic in sales. Sales is supposed to be you solving a problem for the other person. You can't aggressively solve the other person. Do you have a problem? I'm here to solve a problem for you. You better have a problem. I have to solve a problem for you. That doesn't work in sales.
Absolutely.
So I think
Absolutely.
this is
You're
again
right.
a place where women have an advantage because maybe naturally we are not aggressive. Maybe naturally we have that nurturing side. So we are good listeners. We empathize. We are able to understand the
Collaborate.
other person's problem, and yeah, we are able to collaborate. So that gives us an
Yes. To find
advantage
solutions.
rather.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
In fact, over 80% of customers prefer to deal with a salesperson who's focused on finding a solution of the closing the sale. So competitiveness doesn't work. If you're just focused on closing the sale rather than on the customer's interests, you will lose the deal rather than get the deal. So, and I think that's where women are foremost because we've always focused on other people's needs. And in this case, if that other person is the customer, definitely we are going to close the deal. So I see Pritha also joining. Thank you so much for the love. Archana, please hold on. We will answer your question. We have a last question, and I know that you had a question, so please hold on. We are coming to your question, which all of us will answer. Any final message before you answer Archana's question. And just for everybody's benefit, the question asked by Archana is valid for all. That selling is not very easy because you have to deal with rejection all the time. And Roshni seems to have got locked off. You have to deal with rejection, and how do you actually deal with rejection is Archana Gupta's question. So before we close, would you like to answer that question? And then we move on to the final question of the day, which is your inspiring message to the women in sales so that more women proactively choose and remain in sales careers, and more entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, consultants, coaches become confident about selling, lose their fear of selling. So I would like one final message from all of you just after we answer this question. So would you like to take this question, Shilpa, that how do you deal with rejection in sales? Then we'll, of course, move on to Pritha because Archana wants to hear all of us.
So Archana, I figured this out for myself many years ago, and I did not let this, aha moment stay limited to me. I shared it widely with thousands and thousands of other salespeople, right? And I have worked with more than 500,000 micro entrepreneurs in my whole life across the world, not just in India. So I can tell you this, that no is actually good news, because the first thing is that no is actually NO. It stands for next opportunity. Okay. And the next opportunity is always waiting for you. And I started enjoying the game of sales so much when I said that instead of the yes, I'm going to start collecting no's. Okay. So the moment you make this a game and you say that, okay, how many no's can come my way? Because after 8 no's, 9 no's, 10 no's, the one yes will come. So the faster you collect those no's, the faster you will get to that yes. So it's about reframing that for yourself in your own mind, that this is part of just life. Do we say yes to everything, even for ourselves, right? We don't. So the customer, has the prerogative to say a no, and of course, as a good salesperson, you will need to identify when the no means a real no, and when the no just means that I need more information out of you right now because I'm not satisfied currently with what I hear from you, right? And that's a whole masterclass Chitra will make us do, I'm sure, one day, the way we're going. But that's what I would say. Start taking no as the next opportunity and start collecting no's instead of yes.
Instead of only yeses. Great one, Shilpa. Would you like to go next, Pritha?
Yeah, sure. So how I look at rejections is that for me, I always keep saying this, that they are not rejecting me. They are rejecting a proposal or a proposition or a solution that I presented.
Right.
They did not reject me. And that is what my attempt is always. My relationship, I should be, even after the rejections, I should be able to go back, sit with the client, have a cup of coffee and talk about the world, the weather and everything else. That should be my relationship. That means they should not reject me. Now they can reject the solution. Obviously, not everybody has a need. Not everybody can like what I am offering to them. I may not be able to serve everybody. And the reason why they are rejecting my solution or proposition could be, one, I did a bad job of presentation, communication, sales pitching. So I need to learn and improve upon that, maybe I could have improved and made it more impressive. Or they didn't have a need. They really felt that it is, what you are saying is not actually solving what my problem is. So fine, if it is not a Zabardasti, I'm not going to give it to you, right? You don't need it. You think my solution is not solving your problem. No problem. It's okay. And that is how it is. I mean, they're not rejecting me. They're rejecting a solution. So why should I feel bad about it? There is no reason for me to feel bad about it. Did they say, you should not be coming to my class next? They're not saying that, right? So all they're saying is, sorry, I can't take your product or service right now. And that's all right. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah, absolutely. So don't take rejection personally is your message, because they're not rejecting you as a person. It's not a sentence. It's not an indictment, and it is in no way a reflection of your capabilities as a salesperson. Rather, it is an opportunity to reflect and reframe your solution and go back to the customer with a more creative and more personalized solution, so that they will be persuaded. And if even then, if the customer is not interested in your product, then maybe you should move on to the next opportunity, as Shilpa said. Instead of yes, look for no's, the next opportunity. So
I'll add
Roshni,
one more thing, Chitra, before we go to, if the experience of your prospect or your customer, if that experience of dealing with you is positive, is very good. So even if they reject your proposal or the solution that you offered, probably because they don't need it, you will always find a referral coming from them.
absolutely.
So
And
even
they'll
if
come
they
back to you
don't
at
need
some
it,
point.
yeah, they will
They
give
come
you a
back to you.
referral.
I've experienced that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've
absolutely,
experienced that.
absolutely. Yeah.
So Archana, I hope you're getting some really good tips, and I hope you're writing them all down, because this class is not going to happen again. We will go to Roshni now to add on her
Yeah,
tips
I
on how
just
to do
wanted
it.
to add one piece. So, of course, at an emotional level, when you know that it is opening up of the next opportunity, at an intellectual level, you know that you have to go back to your drawing board and come up with better solutions. But before you go to those steps, I would also encourage you to just take a moment and pause and just give yourself the time to absorb and
Absolutely.
be with yourself in that moment of rejection, because it's hard. I understand that rejection is not something that you can just overlook or just turn a blind eye to. So give yourself the time to just acknowledge that yes, I have heard a no, and what can I do about it? Journal, ask questions to yourself, to your proposals, and then
Yeah.
go back to your drawing book. Give yourself the time to make friends with that rejection, and give yourself the space, and then get to the action mode.
True.
Absolutely. That's right. So a pause before you move on is really very important. So we had a no from Shilpa, not a no, but the next opportunity. We had pause and then move on. And we had from Pritha that don't take it personally. I think three very, very important tips to deal with rejection. And very quickly before we close, I know we all love talking, as I said even earlier, but a one-liner message to all the people listening about how sales is such a fulfilling and rewarding profession, and that we would urge more women to join it. What is your message to the women and men listening on this? Because, like you said initially, all of you said that it is viewed as a profession which is pushy, aggressive, and even men view it like that. So, what is that one message we want to give about selling to the world and to women listening in?
So I would say
Pritha,
that in a world full of problem creators, be the problem solver. Uh, and the one giving the solution is always going to be superior than one creating the problem. So decide who you want to be, and we all can make that choice. And being a salesperson and a sales leader and an organizational leader has given me that immense fulfillment all my life, and I wouldn't do anything else but be in this profession again if I have the choice to.
right. You can choose what you want to do, right? We can keep complaining and we can keep making excuses about how unfair the world is, or we can choose to do something about it. And I think the most important thing is that we should be the change we want to see in the world. And all of us in our respective fields, whether it is you through your consultancy and, of course, through our community, Roshni through her Ace the Sales, and Pritha through her Transformation Lab, and myself, of course, our endeavors through my community, Sales Mentoring. We are all working to make a difference and leading to a more equal world for women in sales. So, Pritha, would you like to go next with your message?
Yeah, sure. I have two things. One is, of course, to I something that I keep saying, to sell is to serve. It is a place where you are serving the other person, you're solving somebody's problem, and I think that is the biggest fulfillment that one can ever have. That you are someone who is always solving the problem for somebody else. You attempt it from a very serving mentality, a serving mindset. And the second is a selfish a reason for anybody, men, women, to be in sales. In any kind of crisis situation, say a pandemic or companies going through a bad time or anything, it is the high performing salespeople who are not thrown out. There could be
Absolutely.
layouts, all these things with every other department, but a high performing salesperson will never be thrown out. That's an evergreen field. You will always have your job, you'll always have your security, you'll always keep earning money, you'll always keep accumulating wealth. This is a place where you can just attract abundance. If that is not fulfilling, then what is?
Absolutely. It is the most rewarding if you're a performer. And it is
Yes.
also the most flexible and most stable, because obviously if you're getting the customers in and you're getting the value in, you cannot be let go of. Absolutely lovely point made there. Uh, and Roshni, would you like to add anything here?
Yeah, so for me, of course, selling is being the part of the solution, selling is serving, and selling is also an opportunity for self growth, because it is a skill which requires you to be human, to be you're excellent at life skills, at understanding your emotion, your buyer's emotions, body language, non-verbal body language, everything. So there are so many things that you have to work into when you are in sales. So it is not only just any other skill, it's a life skill, it's a human skill.
Yeah.
So when you
Absolutely.
raise yourself, you raise in sales automatically.
Absolutely. Very nicely summed up there. And I think for me personally, sales is not a profession, it's a calling. And it's an opportunity to change the world one customer at a time. I really believe that. And if all of us as salespeople would believe that we really have in our hands the power and the opportunity to change the world, to change the customer's life, and to make a difference in their lives, then I think the pride, the passion, the conviction, the confidence will come by itself and it will flow in the conversation. So thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your pearls of wisdom, your insights, your experience, and talking to all the listeners with so much of confidence and conviction, because when they see powerful women like you inspiring them to join a career in sales, I'm sure we will have a lot more people choosing a career in sales and remaining in sales and excelling in sales to achieve leadership positions. So if you've liked this particular panel and if you've liked our talk, please follow us on Insta. We are at SalesWomentoring, and you can also follow us on LinkedIn, again at SalesWomentoring. I'm Chitra Singh, the host for this panel, and we have, in the order of who I can see on the screen, Pritha Dubey, Roshni, and Shilpa Ajwani, who have joined us today. I can still see people joining, but unfortunately, we are out of time for today. So I will see you in the next panel, and thank you so much. Have a great evening. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Happy
Bye,
selling.
everyone.
Happy
Bye. Happy
selling. Bye.
selling.